Welcome back to the channel. I'm Trevor, if you haven't joined me before. Today we're taking a look at Native American gods, the gods of the ancient world, and also to see that there's a slight overlap between Mesoamerica and the Native Americans. So first we start with the Great Spirit, known as the Great Mystery. So the Great Spirit is known by the Lakota, the Dakota and Lakota tribe as Wakan Tanka. What is this Great Spirit? So the Great Spirit is what we would understand as the Father of all, the Creator, that Spirit that has its essence in everything, in all of life, in all of creation, not only this world, but in the Matrix, in the light, behind all life. So this Great Spirit was worshipped by all the Native Americans in ancient times, and they all had their own theories and their own names of what the Great Spirit was called, but they all understood the essence of the Great Spirit, that it was the Spirit, this being, this God, that its essence and life force permeated all life in creation. Then we come to the ancient sun god, and we also have to realize that in the Matrix there are many sun gods in the different realities, or in the different ages that we go through. So each age would have an incoming sun god or deity. To the people of peace, the Hopi, they called the sun god Tawa, and the Lakota, the Nakota and Dakota called him We. The sun god was very central in all ancient traditions around the ancient world. The Maya, the ancient Egyptians and the Greeks. The same ancient mystery teachings that were taught to the ancient world were also taught to the Native Americans long ago. And these sun rituals you can find all the way through the Amazon. So what would take place in some of these rituals of the sun god, one would take a certain plant medicine or go through a certain exercise, be placed in a certain position, and one would, through an initiation, allow the sun's rays, the sun god's energy, to permeate one's being. In other words, fill one's aura up into one's consciousness, emotions, and one would feel that power of that sun being through your being. And this is really what they did, to pull that light into one's consciousness. And then I'd like to say the grandfather of all. And when we really talk about grandfathers and grandmothers, we're not talking about your grandfather or your grandfather's grandfather or grandmother. We're talking about beings that are so ancient, the ancient of days, that they are called grandfathers. So grandmother earth, grandfather sun. So ancient beings that when you meet them in the spirit world, you will feel as if you're a young child next to your grandfather. And this is how it is. And grandfather is known as the god Chuck amongst the ancient Maya. He is in the Aztec culture, and you can see the same symbolisms carved on rocks throughout America of grandfather Chuck. There is only one who wears a crown. It's a golden crown. There is only one who has swirling eyes. And look at the eyes carefully. You can see these swirls, very much like we see in the ancient rock art, not only found throughout the Americas, but throughout the ancient world. And that also is a secret, part of an initiation. And when you look at grandfather, he has a beard, as it's said in the scriptures. The ancient of days, he sits on a throne with a beard. And he wears the crown, so his aura expands beyond Earth's aura, and each soul on Earth needs to go through grandfather's consciousness or through his aura to be initiated at some point, as one advances or evolves spiritually. Very much like these images here. But one thing we have to know is that he does have a protruding nose, as you can see in these other images. Very similar to Ganesha. And grandfather really sits at the top of the hierarchy of earth souls. But each soul needs to be initiated by grandfather. And if you think of grandfather's initiations, he has a specific code. And you see these little square codes. And each code is a simulation. So you get pulled, your soul gets pulled into a simulation and you experience something. And that is what we call an initiation. Just as our souls come from the higher worlds and are placed in these bodies, and now we're stuck in this simulation. So if you're out of your body, he could initiate individual souls simultaneously, all at the same time, while spending individual attention with each soul, because his grandfather is the Ancient of Days. Grandfather is also known as the god of thunder, lightning, and rain, so that he would bring rain. He wasn't the only deity that could bless people with rain, but through Mesoamerica he was one of the main deities, including the Plumed Serpent. And now we come to the Plumed Serpent. The Plumed Serpent and Chuck are always found together, functioning in the spirit world. And it was the Plumed Serpent, the sovereign Plumed Serpent, who came on a spacecraft long, long ago to bring ancient wisdom, not only to the Mesoamericans, but to the Native Americans. And they built these ancient mystery schools where the priests, or should I say the shaman, would go to be trained. And they would be trained in depth, and they would go back to the tribes to initiate and to create ceremonies. But they weren't just initiated, they were the real thing. They were clairvoyants. They could see the past, present, and future. They knew how to heal. And the only reason they did this is they knew how to enter the matrix and create this connection between this world and the next. So together in the matrix, Grandfather Chuck and Sovereign Plumed Serpent continue to teach the Atlanteans after the flood of Atlantis, which were many of the Native Americans and the Mesoamericans. We've got to understand that they are cosmic beings. They're beings that have reached a state of cosmic consciousness, or have always been in a state of cosmic consciousness. And they are the ones guiding humanity to evolve towards that state of consciousness, where all that we've known will just be the foundation of what's really coming. We know the Plumed Serpent has many names, the Feathered Serpent, Kukulkan. So the name was Uktena amongst the Cherokee, and the Lakota called the Horned Serpent Uktena. And here you can see some of the other names of the tribes of the Plumed Serpent. So we must also remember that the sovereign Plumed Serpent came as a teacher for humanity, as a protector, and as the gatekeeper to the other worlds. And then we have the Birdman, which is often seen carved on rocks all through the Americas, and also symbolical in the totem pole. So the Birdman here is a cosmic entity or being that is communicating with Native Americans in ancient times. And also the symbolism, if you think of Birdman, someone that has feathers, so those feathers are symbolical of the colors of the aura, and the outstretched feathers would be those colors within the aura, and that energy that is moving through the aura or through the feathers, or both. So again, when we look at the Native American headdresses, as you can see in these images, those are symbolical of the auric colors. So when a person awakens, the colors around the head, almost like a halo, and then the different vibrations and frequencies making up the different colors of the aura, as seen in the symbolism of Native American feathers. And it was the ancient shaman that would emulate the Birdman, dressing up with as many feathers as possible, entering the matrix where he would meet this ancient being and was able to communicate and bring back information for the tribes or for the people. So the Birdman shouldn't be confused with the Thunderbirds. So Thunderbirds are quite common through the ancient world, and what the Thunderbirds were spacecraft. So when the spacecraft were flying over the Native Americans, that craft used to thunder, and this is where the name came from, Thunderbirds. So the Thunderbirds were called Wakan with the Lakota tribes. And they knew, or the ancient shaman knew, how to invoke, how to do prayers and burn certain things, and really call on or create that connection to open that portal or that frequency to these higher beings, which are extraterrestrials. And then we have the moon goddess Hanwi, according to the ancient Lakota. So the moon goddess was a feminine deity who used to emanate rays of energy called lunar prana into the earth, and there was this lunar prana and this kundalini prana that would awaken kundalini and the chakras, and it was the shaman that knew how to utilize these energies in the cycles of the moon. And also with some of the traditions of the Lakota, and this is just more proof that the ancient mystery schools existed in North America just as the rest of the world. Amongst the Lakota spirituality, the moon goddess and the sun god were married. So when there is a sacred initiation, or in other words, when Kundalini rises, or not even that, When the sun and moon within us, the pituitary and pineal gland, or the moon atom that is within our body, when they unite in the brain, there is a sacred marriage. And this is what the ancient Lakota in their spirituality knew so long ago. And it could only be that they were taught these ancient mysteries by the ancient gods. And remember, a lot of these teachings also came out of Mexico and that spread north into America. Everything was connected in ancient times. And then we come to Uktena, the spider god. So when we look at this cosmic being, so in the Matrix, this being creates herself as a spider in any shape, form or size that she wishes. And the idea of this, she is a cosmic being. She is the weaver of destinies. She can connect people's destinies, past, present and future. So she weaves the magic and connects things in the matrix behind the scenes. And that's why she's known as the spider goddess. She creates the webs that weave the dream catchers that allow us to remember the dreams. And she connects us to our visions and the inner world. And then we come to Unsi. I think I pronounced it correctly. Mother Earth. The ancient Earth Mother that has been around, for billions and billions of years. And the Earth Mother is known as Grandmother Earth. Hence again, she's so ancient that people understand that meeting her in the Matrix, in the truth, you will understand that she is ancient, she is your grandmother. Here again we have the animism of Native Americans, where they understood that there was spirit and life force in the rocks, in the mountains, long before we were created, that are here for billions of years. And when in the Matrix, when their third eyes were open and they could see clairvoyantly, they could see this life force, these auric colors in all the plants, in the rocks, and see the deities or this consciousness that's in it. Grandmother Earth was exceptionally sacred to the Native Americans. They respected the earth, they respected everything to do with Mother Earth. And talking about Mother Earth, when these big changes are coming to Earth, it is to initiate Mother Earth in her initiation. So there will be one moment in the world that will change things for everything. And in that exact moment, Mother Earth goes through her cosmic initiation to birth the new world that is coming, the space age. I'm going to cover that subject at a later point. By hitting the notification button, all these videos come up onto your home page in the future. So please like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed this video.